Whitaker, got a minute?
Yeah.
I just wanted to say thank you for earlier when I was,
Your brief moment of silent reflection?
yeah. You didn't mention that to
No,
me,
no, God, no.
I don't know what that was. I was just felt like I was drowning.
What was that you were reciting?
It's called the Shema Prayer. It's a declaration of faith in God. I lived with my grandmother when I was little, and she and I used to recite it every morning.
Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hold hope in the Lord will renew their strength and soar on wings like eagles. It's Isaiah 40. I was an undergrad theology major. I don't know why I said that.
I don't know if I actually believe in God, especially on days like today.
A wise man once told me that you learn to live with it, learn to accept it, and find balance if you can. I hope we all do.
Hello, all. Welcome back to What's On Tonight, a podcast with elaborate, quirky, and unpredictable conversations about TV, movies, and more. I'm Becky.
And I'm Mandy.
And I'm Sam.
Yay.
Today we are covering the Pitt Season 1, Episode 14, titled 8 p.m. Please note this is a spoiler-filled podcast, so if you haven't watched the episode yet and don't want to be spoiled, just come back and check us out once you've finished watching. Before we dive into the episode, you heard her introduce herself just a second ago. Welcome, Sam. We are so freaking happy to have you on with us today. To get us started, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and how you found us and all that good stuff.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I'm very honored to be on the podcast. You ladies are rock stars.
Woohoo.
I'm so
Thank you.
excited. Of course. And I'm a clinical health psychologist at a major hospital. I've done a lot of training, mostly with veterans throughout the year. So I've worked at several hospitals in several departments. I do PTSD work, but that's mostly for the trauma psychologist. I typically work with patients with chronic health conditions. So I have worked in the ER, I have worked in the ICU, I have worked in different surgical settings, inpatient, outpatient settings, and pretty excited about this show. And I found it with our lovely Becky. She's a part of the Podcastica community and just truly wonderful. And I'm very, very excited.
Oh, I heart you. I'm so glad you're here.
Are you too?
What other ones are you doing? You do the Buffy podcast, right?
Yeah. Still Slaying podcast. It's any Buffy fans. I highly recommend it. It was created and run primarily with Penny and Kara, and they invited me on to be a part of the Slayer squad, and it's so much fun. If anyone's a fan of those, please, those ladies are awesome.
Becky's the reason I watched Buffy, and yeah, I think that was maybe one of the first big things we bonded over.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, we are so happy you're here. Thank you again for coming on. And if y'all are ready, I say we dive into this very interesting episode.
I'm ready.
Episode 13 was written by Simran Maidwan and directed by John Cameron.
Mandy, I started with the regular synopsis and then Wikipedia put this one in, and I can't wait to hear you try to pronounce all of this stuff. So I think the Wikipedia people heard you telling them they needed to get their shit together, and this is their payback. So what is the synopsis for this episode, Mandy?
I'm ready. Okay, here we go. Whitaker helps Robbie get through his panic attack. Helps. Forced. Told him suck it up. Robbie returns to work, but is noticeably short-tempered. Yeah, you think?
Just read the synopsis, woman.
I'm sorry. I'm going to give it to Robbie this episode. Robbie is noticeably short-tempered with his patients and colleagues. One of the last Pitt Fest shooting victims to arrive is a man who stayed behind to help other victims and developed an air embolism in his heart. With Abbott's guidance and over the objections of a surgeon, Mohan performs a risky procedure to save him. Santos and Langdon are thrown together while treating an overdose patient. McKay's father arrives to pick up Harrison. As the Pitt Fest crisis slows down, the Pit begins transitioning back to a normal operations. The shooter is reportedly dead, and David is uncuffed, but still on 72-hour psychiatric hold, which leads him to clash with his mother, Robbie Ann McKay. An unresponsive minor, Flynn, and his sister are brought to the Pit, and Robbie diagnoses him with the measles and probably acute disseminated encephalomyelitis. Oh, Becky.
Nailed it.
Nicely done. Woohoo!
I'm eating crow.
When Flynn's mother, relying on half understood health information on the internet, that's kind. That's a much nicer way than I would have put it.
Very kind.
Refuses to allow a lumbar puncture to test for ADEM, Robbie loses his temper with her. The police arrest McKay for destroying her ankle monitor. Whew.
That was a lot. You did
Nicely
good.
done. You did great.
Thank you.
So, yay for me on this one. I give it 5 blue dudes out of 5. Mandy?
Well, as you know, the first time I watched this episode, and we'll get to it a bit, I was not happy with the episode in general. And at first I thought this was going to be the only episode that I genuinely did not like. But then I went back and rewatched it and I realized, no, it was still a really, really good, solid episode. There were just things that frustrated me about it. And I'm really hoping that the season finale is going to bring some redemption for some of my disappointment with some of the choices made by characters in this episode. Mm-hmm. I still enjoyed it. Still thought it was great. Glad I went back and rewatched. And again, I think it's one of those that I'm going to like even more when we sit down and watch the season as a whole.
All right. Yay or nay, Sam?
Similar to Mandy, I think it's a yay if they're doing what I think they're doing with Dr. Robbie, because the show is so clever. So I think they're doing what I think they're doing with Robbie. It's going to be a big old yay. If they're going in a direction I hope that they're not, then it's going to be one of my only nays. But I'm hopeful. The show has earned that from me. So I'm hopeful next week will bring us this answers, because I have a theory.
Same.
I think we're all going to be very like-minded in our conversation with this episode. All right, so let's get into specific show moments. This first main point, and there's going to be a lot to say here, but we can, let's just dive into it. So we start with Dr. Robbie and McKay. It was very difficult to break this episode up into points. The way I broke it down, I hope gives us a chance to dive into the important parts of the episode. So if there's anything that's y'all feel was left out, just feel free to chime in with it. But my first point is I just want to acknowledge sweet Esme. And I love that this show its focus isn't solely on the doctors and nurses, the Winky Fingers main people taking care of this hospital, that everyone is important. And, Robbie's just simple comment to her, thank you so much, Esme. You're doing a great job. I am very glad that she got some on-screen time. But there was something, and I know we're all going to have a lot to say about Robbie's negative behavior in this episode, but I loved when he gets through that with Whitaker and he's walking around afterwards and he's watching his staff, especially the med students, the way they were all handling their shit. And I don't know if either of you noticed the look of pride and admiration on his face. And offering them just tiny little, you're doing great, King, or keep it up, Whitaker. I thought it was such a strong moment for Noah Wiley as an actor, but for Dr. Robbie, who just broke down, and his staff they need him, they're looking for him, but he walks out, and it was almost like these people are going on without me. They are functioning without me. And that is a testament to him as a teacher and a leader. But also, I feel like it kind of is setting the tone for a possible Dr. Robbie is going to stop and go get help, knowing that his staff is. It was a beautiful moment, just watching recognition that these people are good and they're doing a great job, and then acknowledging that they're doing a great job.
Yeah, I like that you shouted out Esme and a little suspension of disbelief. I don't know a single attending that knows housekeeping or EMS's name.
Well, you had to think about it for a second, though.
I was like, I mean, Dr. Robbie's our ideal doctor, right? And there are some wonderful Dr. Robbies out there. As someone who's worked in a hospital, they get very little respect. They are what make a hospital run. I've been there when the trash wasn't taken out of our offices. And if you want to see a place shut down, it's not having someone there to do that work. I was also clocking that this episode and previous episodes where they were saying overhead paging housekeeping to the ER, paging EMS to the ER to clean up the blood on the floor that's just everywhere so that people can function. So I really appreciated that they are really the heartbeat of the hospital.
I just appreciated that Becky and I absolutely have a hive mind, because the very first thought that I had about this episode, and honestly, one of the few things that I was going to add if it wasn't in Becky's wonderful notes that she prepares for us every week, was Esme. That was one of the greatest takeaways that I have. So I just thought that was great that was Becky's very first point. We share a brain sometimes.
We do.
It's a cool brain.
I think it says a lot about Noah Wiley and Scott Gimel and the guys that created the show, that even though it's not very realistic, a real doctor attending might know the name of the person who was on the janitorial staff, that they are calling them out. And that they have repeatedly throughout a very, very busy season taken moments to single out how important they are.
Yeah.
And to pick up on what you were saying, Becky, about Robbie looking around and saying these little, we call micro validations to his staff, I think he learned that from Dr. Adamson.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, there's been like little hints over the show that he's a teacher the way he was taught by Dr. Adamson. And it makes sense on this day of all days. And the flashbacks that he's having, that he would get back in touch with Dr. Adamson and his way of teaching. So I thought that was a nice way to also honor this character that we know very little about, but his presence is everywhere in the hospital, at least for Dr. Robbie.
Yeah. Next we have Gloria. Y'all, there's scenes in movies and TV shows, and this happens all the time. I don't know if y'all watched Friends, but Janice, when the gang turns around and Janice is there and they're all like, oh my God. When she appears on screen, that is my literal physical reaction. It's like, oh God. And she comes in, she's actually bringing good news. We got blood coming and all this stuff, but yet they start talking about the donors and she's like, whoa, wait a minute. And then she wants to lay in to Robbie. I'm like, Gloria, read the room.
At that moment.
Oh, right, yes! At that exact moment. Make a list, woman. Make a list and come circle. Let's stick a pin in that, Gloria.
I actually saw in one of the recaps, in one of the articles I read, that someone said, read the fucking blood-soaked room.
Yes. I put that on a t. We have so many t-shirts that we are going to make.
That would be a good one.
Yeah, they're not even out of this mass casualty event. And so it's like, Gloria.
Yeah.
And one assumes she's a doctor, right?
I would think she would have to have been elevated to that position.
Yeah.
So maybe she didn't work. Well, I don't know. Maybe she didn't work in an emergency room, or she's very far removed.
Wow.
She's so textbook oriented now that she can't see outside of that. But I will give her credit. She was absolutely amazing when she stopped, when things calmed down, and she thanked the staff and praised them for their hard work. No, nothing. She just, it was the one time I could look at her and think, I don't hate you, Gloria.
Gloria, to be fair, someone has to be the bean counter, and that's never going to make you necessarily the popular guy in any industry. But what I think that a lot of people that get into those positions and become as tunnel blind and just removed from the reality of what people are doing, because I can see two arguments. On the one, she's just a woman trying to advance in her career and do the best job that she can. But this is why so many people are furious with executives at this point, because at a certain point, I think that, the healthcare executive got killed a while back, and there was all this debate back and forth with people. And of course, no one advocates for murder or anything like that. But my husband and I remember us having a conversation where he was talking about how he didn't understand why this was nuanced at all, that it was just flat out murder. Because he was saying, well, I'm an executive, like, would it be okay for somebody? And I said, yeah, but you're an executive in the car industry. You're not. The choices
he's having
you
a hard
make.
time now.
Well, right, he is. But I mean, and he saw it differently once I pointed out. I said, you advanced in your career through your hard work, but your choices are not meaning the difference between life and death for thousands of people in order to make 0.00001% more profit for the people at the very higher up. So I guess the thing is, I give Gloria a little bit of grace, but at the same time, I think people like that really need to take into consideration. I don't know how you sleep well at night if you don't keep the well-being of your patients first and foremost in your mind.
Just read the room. That conversation was valid. It was a valid conversation she wanted to have.
Right.
But
just not in that moment.
Of all the things I might blame Robbie for in this episode, I do not blame him for telling her to go fuck off, basically.
Right. Absolutely. And it's one of those things where I think I work with a lot of people who are above me and are medical doctors who are so far removed from clinical care. And it's hard to do that because, like you guys are saying, they're not getting the nuance of this with hands-on work. And so it's hard to sort of understand how your policies are impacting the front-hand clinical work.
Mm-hmm.
Like the time for her to have that conversation with him is let the mass casualty event be over first, Gloria.
Right.
And then let him go home and get some sleep. Give him a few days to process this. And then have a meeting where you ask him what was the medical logic behind it, because she was not there. And psychology is really big on we weren't there, so we can't judge. Stuff like this where we saw it in those episodes. You have to make do with what you have.
Right.
And this is not to toot my own field's horn. This is why you have mental health in your teams and you hold them very respectfully. And you can figure out how those teams function and how the patients react. And they are not as insightful as these doctors are in this show. So this team respects mental health. They respect Kiara. But we are a good temperature taker. We study the culture of the teams and the patients and the staff that we work with. And so we can be like, hey, Gloria. Dana can't. Like Dana's like, she's a nurse, even though she's a charge nurse, like this is between the higher ups. Like even, we saw later, even Abbott was like, Robbie, go take a breath. Like, you're right. And she's still our boss.
Right.
But mental health, even though she might still be my boss, that's our expertise to be like, hey, come here, later. Well, this needs to be resolved. Let the mass casualty event be over first.
Right.
I agree with you that I think that was the one moment afterwards that I didn't dislike Gloria. I still thought she was weak. And I thought that was as kind as I've ever heard management say to the teams. They also offered nothing to the teams to help them process what they just went through.
Right.
Nothing.
This is an excellent segue into what I am going to consider the harshest conversation that we're all going to have is what happens next. Let me read through these points and then we can all, because I know Mandy's ready.
I am too.
And I'm very curious to hear from your perspective how this would have been handled properly, because I don't think it was. So we get Winky Fingers confirmation that the shooter wasn't David, and the way Robbie glanced at McKay was not cool, nor was him dragging her in there to confront him about the list and being admitted for psych evals. She did the right thing reporting his behavior. And just because he turned out not to be the shooter doesn't mean David is in the clear and doesn't need help. And then he just stood there while David absolutely blew up at McKay. And then the comment, you made this fucking mess. Now you're going to have to fix it. What the fuck is all I know to say about that whole thing.
I can't believe he said that to her. I know that it is a television show and God love Robbie. He has been through the ringer. He's been through everything, but this plot line has been pissing me off the entire series. Women are statistically so much more likely to be the victims of violence, and young men are statistically so much more likely to commit these sorts of crimes that I cannot fathom what in the world, even in the middle of a mental breakdown, would cause you to think for 1 second that that kid didn't need to be evaluated, that he did not need to be put on a psychiatric hold. And I'm going to say, I don't think that the jury is out that he had nothing to do with this shooting either. I've seen no evidence other than his word for it that he didn't. Much like McKay, I am raising a son. I am exquisitely sensitive to what young men go through in this country right now, but that does not mean that he is not possibly a very real danger to specifically the women around him. And so I was just really, really upset with Robbie after he did that to her.
Second everything you said.
You hit the nail on the head, Becky, when you said it was the right call.
And he even admitted that to her several episodes ago.
Right.
And I know he's pissed that she went behind his back, but that's not, again, Gloria read the room, Robbie read the room.
Right.
So,
right.
Sam, I want to know yeah.
Yeah. So you are speaking to my soul. I had a hard time watching this episode last night, and that is just kudos to the writers, the directors, the editors, the cast. This show hits me on some visceral levels that it's so realistic that, like, I watch this show first and then I watch Yellow Jackets to relax.
Oh my God.
Because, like, this show, I haven't even watched it because I was just like, I had such a reaction. And again, this is a beautiful creation of this show. What I think is going on with Robbie is we are seeing the consequences of mental health going untreated and how he is just as much a liability to his ER, to his staff and his patients as Langdon is. I don't think it was a coincidence that this happened after he didn't have a panic attack, Wikipedia. He got triggered. And he was in a flashback. I know he was saying the Shema prayer. Like I'm Jewish, so like when he said that, I was like, cool. I know what that is. No, you freaking had a flashback, dude. This is part of PTSD, and he is not okay. And I have a lot of thoughts about that once we get to what I think happened to him. But we see him try to jump right back in. Like, I had to pause. Noah Wyle, I mean, you better get that Emmy nomination, because I felt it in my gut. That opening scene of him, like, I got teary-eyed and I had to pause it. I have been with patients who have reacted like that, and he did a phenomenal job of showing what that's like. It's not always screaming and throwing things. It is this sort of falling into yourself. And then we see him try to go back, and he is making one poor medical decision after another. He's no longer a great teacher. He's not making sound medical decisions. He's not connecting to his patients' needs. He's connecting to his own. There's even a point where he says, after he makes McKay tell him the logical part of why he's being held, he says, and I wrote it down because it was just really upsetting for me to hear. Again, kudos to the show. This is amazing. Anything that makes me feel anything, I love.
Oh, same.
He says, we all have bad thoughts. It doesn't make us a bad person. Robbie, he didn't have a fleeting bad thought. He had ruminative, repeated, persistent thoughts about a particular group of girls in his school, and then he made a list and said he wanted to hurt them. This is a progression of intent. So, like, he's not even connected to what this kid needs. And when McKay afterwards is like, oh God, what do we do? He's like, well, I suggested a better way. Robbie, what was that better way? Because I wasn't seeing a better way.
Ignore it and
ignore it.
Send that kid home because everything's fine.
Yeah. I suggested a better way, but you had him taken down by police, handcuffed, and dragged in here. She didn't do anything. He showed up after no contact with his mom all day, which kudos to the mom. She actually stepped up. She was the only person in that room that was actually making headway. McKay tried.
Posting weird shit on social media.
Yeah, weird stuff. And he ran away from the police, and he is a white kid. If he was a person of color, I'd be like, no, I totally get why he ran away. And then you made this fucking mess. You're going to have to fix it. Great. You're no longer being the teacher we all know you to be, and you are abandoning your patient. So what is happening? Like, this is not our Robbie.
So has anyone else noticed the projection aspect of this?
Yes.
The parallels between this kid and what Robbie is experiencing?
Yes.
One of the things that I really enjoy throughout this series is the way that they show internal bias and how it can play out in medicine. And I think for whatever reason, Robbie sees something of himself in this kid, and it is making him completely blind to the threat that he gives, which I love that you pointed out that Robbie is now a threat.
Yeah. Well, I know what he sees. He sees he's a white man and he sees a white teenage male. He even admitted so much earlier, and you ladies wonderfully pointed that out, is he didn't think about the impact of the future victims. And so we're seeing this again. Again, he's going into emotion mind, not logic mind. And emotion mind is trauma mind. Trauma mind is not logic. It's so out of character. And we see this throughout the episode. I see exactly what he sees, his blind spot. Like Mandy, you and Becky have correctly talked about. He is not seeing it, and he's not even connecting to his patient now. That you need to put away, that you're mad at McKay because you can't understand how much of a threat this kid is. This kid, and Becky, you labeled it correctly. It was right in my brain. And Mandy, you said it too. You thought he could have been the shooter because he could have been. He wasn't the shooter today. I gotta tell you, his red flags, he could be the one tomorrow. So stop acting like this is this innocent kid.
Which his mom pointed out.
Yeah, even his mom has finally accepted.
Where is Psych?
That was my question for you. I know this show gets a lot right, and I do not feel that them not having Kiara in the room, there is a reason for that.
Yeah.
They're too smart for that to have just been overlooked.
Yes.
I don't want to believe that this was just for, what's the word?
Drama.
Just for drama in an episode.
Yeah, like, I mean, I have a theory. I think they're hopefully doing this really beautiful storyline with Robbie that I think is going to be just as wonderful and needs to be talked about as everything else. So interestingly, at least in the hospitals I've worked at, you need to be asked to be pulled into a case. Even if you're an ER psychologist or social worker assigned to the ER, you have to be invited in either by nurses or the attendings. So we can't just sort of bully our way in there, so to speak. It may be different in different hospitals, but even like I've seen it on the Pitt, like they have to invite Kiara in. One, she doesn't know that she's needed. And then two, like it's just part of the hospital hierarchy that I have my own opinions about. If they don't tell her like, hey, we need you in this room, like she's busy and doing other things, but also she can't just invite herself in. Psychology gets a little bit more wiggle room, but there's office politics in hospitals. I don't like that they're not actively trying to get Kiara or any other mental health person. The way I would have handled it is psychology is a wide field. We all have mandated reporting for abuse and imminent harm. The way I would do it might be different than other psychologists, but we have what's called a duty to warn. And that is if we hear about a specific target that is being targeted for violence or homicide in the future, and we have an identifiable target with an identifiable person, typically we want to have a little bit more information. But if we don't, that's okay too. It's depending on your threshold of what you can tolerate. And I looked it up. They have duty to warn in Pennsylvania. So I'm not quite sure why Kiara said she wouldn't do anything in that episode. I'm sure they researched this. But as a psychologist, there's the duty to warn for the state. And yeah, he's not my patient, but his mom is. And we have his name and the names of the girls that he wants to hurt. That's all I would need. I mean, I would prefer to talk to him. But if he says no, then if you don't talk to me, I have to assume the worst. So I'm just going to make the call.
Right.
If you talk to me, I have a higher threshold. But if you don't, sorry. And then there's also for psychology, there's something called the Tarasov rule. It was an older case in mental health where a university counselor heard one of his patients repeatedly say that he was going to murder this young woman who's Mrs. Tarasov. Because of confidentiality, they hadn't said anything. And Tatiana Tarasov was murdered by this young man. Then this lawsuit came forward, and because of the Tarasov rule, we're allowed to break confidentiality when there's an imminent risk to someone else. They're making active threats, either written or not, and they're saying they're going to hurt someone else in the future, and you know their identity, you have to report that. So long story long, McKay did the right thing, and Robbie's reaction is unethical. So I think I know where it's going. I would have to have a talk with Robbie before we sat down of like, so this guy has it out for a bunch of girls in his school.
Why have a woman go into that room to try to talk to him?
Oh my God, now I'm mad about that. I didn't even think about that.
When he went in there and McKay started talking, I was like, he's not going to hear a freaking word. He does not care about women.
And on top of that, like, because that's why I would talk to Robbie and be like, if you can have your head on straight, we can go in there. But if you're mad that this happened, then you need to stay out in the hallway. He took McKay in there, had a woman tell him what was wrong and then didn't back up the woman when David was acting out, which is in line with that. I don't know if he's an incel, but like in line with that mentality. Like, look at these mean girls.
Now I want to get up and start pacing around the room and punching walls myself, because I didn't even take into consideration how incredibly blind Robbie was.
Yeah.
He's so traumatized.
I know, but I just don't understand how he can be such a cool, empathetic character. Is it internalized misogyny, or is it genuinely just blindness to the way the women work through this world?
I think he definitely has it. I don't. Oddly enough, I don't think Noah Wiley has it. I do think it is in line with his character to have, like you guys have said, blind spot. And this is why, like, I think it will be so great if in the final episode they tie it back around with here he is being so hard on Langdon, and meanwhile this mirrors what happened with him and Whitaker. When he was making these really weird decisions, and then when he pulled Whitaker aside and was like, "You didn't tell anyone what you saw, right?" I was like, "Oh, there it is. Oh, this is just as much. You're just as much of a danger to your ER
I didn't even
and a
think
liability."
About that.
Yeah, like it just. I was like, Remember when Langdon said I couldn't do drugs and still function? He's like, apparently you did. Neither one of them think that they have a problem. Neither one of them are willing to admit that they have a problem. Students have had to walk in on them or catch them. And even then, they're sort of projecting that onto the students rather than saying like, oh, I do need to take a break. And if this show is doing this, I think it's beautiful, because we're all like upset that Langdon's doing drugs, and we all forget about the mental health care of our wonderful frontline workers. And we just never take care of them. And I can say after COVID, almost all of the medical nurses, doctors, EMS, first responders, they're all highly traumatized. It will come up in different ways, but I've been on these COVID teams where you make these decisions. You cannot walk away from that unscathed. And we have done next to nothing to help these poor people cope with a trauma. You're watching patients die and you're helpless to save them, and they shouldn't be dying. And you're terrified.
You're going to enjoy our interview with Humbar Martinez. She is an actual nurse. She was working during COVID.
It's a great conversation.
Our frontline workers, our hospital workers have never gotten the care and the respect. Maybe they don't have PTSD, but they definitely have a trauma disorder. And I viscerally remember leaving my house thinking I might die today. And I just have to accept that. It's hard for us to remember summer of 2020. We did not have a lot of answers.
Yeah.
I remember the other mental health clinicians, we were writing out wills for our families and, which hospital do we want to go to if we collapse and have to be put on a ventilator? Can you call my family? And we had these little information trees to call each other's families. And I mean, it was hugely traumatic. And I'm just a psychologist. I never had to intubate patients. The level of trauma for nurses and doctors, it's astronomical. And if this show is going to do what I hope it's going to do, which is say we all can identify addiction as something we don't want in our doctors, hey, guess what? Untreated PTSD is just as terrible and dangerous.
Yeah.
Robbie got triggered and he is not doing well. I mean, he is disintegrating. So in some ways, he's even more dangerous than Langdon.
I didn't even think of that aspect, but that's great.
Yeah, that's very astute. Is that a good point? Is that the right
Yes, and I really hope that you're right about that's where they're going with this.
I think it would be great. And so like just sort of like long story long, I would sit that kid down. I'd want his mom in there because she is the family member that he has left. His reactions of like, but I didn't do anything. It's like, today you didn't. Take a look behind me at all the people who are suffering, all the blood painting the walls. The guy who did this today is dead. And I bet you he didn't think that this was how today was going to go either. He was hoping for it. And this could be you next time. And we're here to make sure you don't end up dead and we don't have to go through this all over again. You are on that path and I am concerned because you deserve to get help. The mom was a rock star and she got through to him. Kudos to that actor. He was amazing. Like when she said, I don't want to lose you, there's the end. But then Robbie fucked it up.
Robbie.
I'm here. Tell me how mad you are, how angry you are. Talk to me. I'm not going to defend the girls. Tell me why you're so mad at them. Because Robbie had said in previous episodes, no one's teaching young white men predominantly how to deal with their mental health and their feelings. It's like, well, Robbie, you weren't helping him with this either.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, I've been like talking on and on.
I'm glad you brought that point up about the young white man, because that was what I was trying inelegantly to say about my son earlier, because I don't want to in any way, shape, or form insinuate that my kid is anything like that. But that's because we teach him about good mental hygiene, and we ask him what's going on in his life, and we talk to him about how it's okay to feel your emotions. It's okay to be. One of the things I love the most about my kid is how kind he is, and I praise him for that, and I teach him you don't have to have all the answers. You're not weak if you cry or if you feel things, but a lot of people don't.
Yes.
Robbie made this point. They're being raised by these shock jock podcast bros.
Joe Rogan, all of them.
Yeah, that teach them eat more muscle powder and do ketamine, and you'll solve all your problems.
And then we see Robbie fail him.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, he failed McKay and he failed David in that moment. And that makes sense. Like, he's holding on by a thread. And this is what happens. It's not a mind over matter. He got triggered because he got triggered. It just happens. But if you don't do any work, this is what happens.
If you don't accept that you are human and you
need help.
Right. That you can't save everything if you can't take care of yourself.
Yes. Society has largely failed cisgendered heterosexual men in not encouraging that in them. And Mandy, you're doing a wonderful job encouraging emotional intelligence. And I'm so excited that more and more young men are coming to therapy because they deserve all of the help. And like, let's get a look at this. It's not a coincidence that so many mass shooters are white men. Let's all work together. Yeah, I'm hoping that we're going on that road of Robbie realizing now he's the danger to his staff and patients.
Yeah, I hope so.
Same. That was awesome. Last thing I have here is McKay getting arrested. That really just sucked.
Ugh.
So I did have a little thought when I watched it the first time, and I'm really choosing not to follow it because this show has earned my professional and personal respect. I do hope they're not going to go into the let's teach McKay a lesson and show her what it's like to be arrested for something wrong that you technically didn't do.
I don't think so.
God, I hope not.
I really think it's going to be more of the system, so to speak. They're going to learn a lesson. You've got a woman here who has made mistakes, but she has learned from those mistakes. She has built a wonderful career and life for herself. And she was in the middle of some serious, serious shit. And this thing won't stop going off, which I'm certain McKay has complained to them about multiple times.
She did it in like the second episode or something.
And she made a choice, and hopefully she's going to end up absolved of even having to wear that stupid thing and stupid whatever her name is, that Chad's wife or whatever.
Yeah.
Xanadu or Chrissy or whatever her name was.
Whatever her name is. I'm hoping that this is actually going to open the system's eyes on people who the punishment does not fit the crime.
That one size fits all solution.
Yeah.
That's where I see them going with that.
Now, this is where they needed the attending physician, Dr. Robbie, and they needed Gloria. I mean, she probably still would have had to have been arrested, but call Gloria. She's the boss. Tell her to be like, no, she saved lives.
Yeah.
Get that the police have to follow orders. I never thought I'd be giving like reasonable excuses to police.
While they take such real life situations, help us all learn from them. I'm hoping that this is going to be an opportunity to see where the winky finger system isn't always right and doesn't always work.
I honestly felt like that part, as much as I think they're leading to something, I felt like that was one very rare moment in this series that was just a little bit on the melodramatic and unbelievable side, because they have just had a mass casualty event in that city. I have a hard time believing that they're going to find two cops that have the time to go arrest a lady because her thing was going off.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Where are the resources?
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to get into my favorite part of this episode, and he hasn't had a lot of moments to shine in the last couple of episodes, and so I devote this section to Whitaker, and then Whitaker and Dr. Robbie. First, LOL at the clown guy. He's like, how's your pain? And he's like, well, my arm still hurts really bad. Just a fun cute little callback, but I love how Whitaker didn't even take the bait. He's just like, yeah, okay, sorry. I thought it was adorable that he and Santos, though absolutely inappropriate in front of the patients, to rock, paper, scissors, who has to go into Winky Fingers the morgue to get the blanket for Clown Man. But here's where Whitaker rocked my world. And I'm going to go through again all of these because a lot of this is quotes. And then we can circle back and y'all can tell me your thoughts on it. I love the way he approached Robbie. It's very hard for me to believe how far this little boy and I know he's a man, but I see him just a
No.
little boy, has come from his first patient. And then he looks at Robbie and he's like, we need you out there. And he's like, give me your hand, because if you don't, we're fucked. And though in a very traumatic breakdown, you could see a hint I saw on Noah Wiley's face. He's brilliant the way he can just give these flashes. I saw a hint of respect in his face for Whitaker, and that Whitaker was not backing down and not backing away. I thought the shove from Robbie once he stood up, it wasn't cool, but I thought it was a nice touch.
Mm-hmm.
It was very Robbie keeping people at arm's length. That's the way I saw it. And then Whitaker's just like, we'll see you out there, Captain. And then, you know, when Robbie, after the shift you were talking about, goes up to Whitaker and has a conversation about, did you talk about it or whatever? And then Whitaker gives right back to Robbie what Robbie gave to him after he lost his first patient. A wise man once told me, you learn to live with it, learn to accept it, and find balance if you can. And I hope we all do. All of that, he was such a man in this episode. The boyish, insecure, I don't know if I can do this, Whitaker. But now here is this man who has survived seeing his first mass casualty. His boss is in the floor dealing with an absolute breakdown. I was so proud of him, and I wanted to give him his due for the way he's shown in this episode. So
I think it was Maureen, one of our longtime listeners, like we've been doing this for 17 years or something. Maureen, one of our faithful listeners. I think it was Maureen that pointed out a while back that she has this pet theory that Whitaker is unhoused and he is separated from his family for whatever reason, and that he's why he is as thoughtful as he is and as in tune with people who are struggling. That may be, but I have a pet theory that I think Whitaker is possibly gay. I could be wrong. I mean, I absolutely could be wrong.
I don't see it, but I respect it.
Well, I'm only going by just because I agree there does seem to be some sort of separation between him and his family for whatever reason, feel like he's been a disappointment to them. And then I kind of had that sense before, but then when they had that really great moment where they were trading basically faith stories, he said that prayer and mentioned that he was, I think, in seminary.
Studied theology. It
kind of made me feel like he understands Robbie's love of his faith and how hard it is for him now that life has distanced himself from that faith. Like, it is now what he turns to in desperation, but it was not there for him in a way that or at least he feels like it has not always been there for him to give him the answers to all of the tragedies that he has been through.
Mandy and I discuss our faith often on the podcast, and I think that was probably the most real and fair assessment of how people feel about religion and faith right now, is that it's, you know, we need that faith. Like right now I'm going through things and it's like, okay, where are you? But I really liked that conversation, and I'm glad they had it, because I think it was very good for people struggling with their faith to hear something like that, because that's how it is. It's real.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mandy.
No, that's great. That does lead to the point that I was making, is there's a quote from Gabriel Garcia Marquez in 11 The Time of Cholera, where he has one of his characters say, atheists always have a scar where their faith used to be. And I think that's always struck me. I wouldn't consider myself an atheist. I'm a Catholic. In my better moments, I still have a great deal of faith in the mystical parts of my religion. But because of the things that I have seen and experienced, and some of my frustrations and disappointments with how unkind the world can be, I really struggle with that often. You know that. Mm-hmm. And I think that the people that often become the most bitter about faith, they are bitter because they are such deeply caring people. They are often the people that care the most about the welfare of their fellow man and our sensitive souls. And when they see the things that people will do in the name of religion and God doesn't seem to stop them, that can really just beat the shit out of you. So what I got from that moment was that Whitaker was saying, I too am somebody who at one point had a very deep connection to my faith. And it was beautiful how, even though Robbie has talked several times about how he never prays anymore, that in his moment of crisis, automatically he went back to that. That was such beautiful writing. And I think, like Becky, as somebody who actively stays in my faith and talks about it because of the things that I love about it and because of the wonderful things that it has brought to my life, I loved that Whitaker was there to have that moment of kinship with Robbie.
Yeah.
It's got to be so hard. I mean, I've worked in ERs, but again, I'm not a nurse. I'm not a doctor. I don't know what it's like to do this. I can't imagine being able to save a life, but like that quote from Grey's Anatomy, they're racing the clock, and most of the time the clock wins. So to sort of find this idea of how to balance that is hard. I can say, working with these medical personnel, and hopefully you guys don't get any hate messages for the stuff I'm bringing in. This is just my working opinion. Overall, physicians are taught that if they cannot save a life, they've failed. They are not taught how to deal with death and the inevitability of it. It's why we have hospice and everything. It is really, really difficult. It's a brutal thing. And I think it's a big disservice that we don't give our physicians and our nurses in training. So I know I really enjoy working with our chaplains in the hospitals, and I find them so valuable. I get asked questions that I'm not an expert on. So frequently I've had chaplains paged to the emergency department. That's something that we can do in some of the hospitals. And it's helpful because people want that comfort. And when people here can't save you or may not be able to save you, let's talk about what may come after. I found them to be truly wonderful human beings to work with. And they actually told me something that I use all the time when patients are confused or concerned about getting medical procedures and they want to put it in God's hands. I didn't say this, the chaplain did. He went to school for all this. He said that God created hospitals, doctors, nurses, and the medical technology we use. He's giving you a chance. Then he used that saying of, it's a widely known one where a man is in probably Key West. I'm from Florida, so probably Key West. And they had a sheriff come around and say, the hurricane's coming. There's going to be a flood. We need to evacuate now. And the man said, no, God will save me. Go ahead. You evacuate the town. I'll stay here. God will save me. The waters come in, and then he goes up onto his roof, and there's a man that comes by in a canoe and says, jump in. The water keeps coming. The man goes, no, God will save me. And then the water comes up and he drowns, and he goes up to heaven, and he asks God, like, hey, I died. How come you didn't save me? And he said, I sent you a police officer. I sent you a man in a canoe, and you refused to leave both those times. That was me sending them. You didn't listen. So, using that as sort of motivating people, if they want to, obviously autonomy, of like, all this stuff is created and we're here. Use it if you feel like it.
Yeah, but conversely, sometimes it's time to go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Doctors and nurses know. I think it's just really hard. They're not taught how to accept that. They're taught to fight for us. That's how we want it. I just feel bad, like, for their mental health. Like, how do we help them with this?
Yeah.
But the Shema prayer is really nice. I mean, you can look it up on Wikipedia because I had to, just like any other good Jew. I don't know, so I have to look it up. But yeah, it's like Adonai, Eloheinu, like all that stuff. Like, didn't catch that the first time around, and then I did later. It's just a prayer that you say morning and night. Nothing really about death, but I think it was connected to his grandma, he said. So I think that was offering him comfort during a tough time. To pick up on what you guys were saying, first about the patients, I really laughed at the patients gossiping because that is how that works.
Yeah.
Human beings, we can be trauma bonded. So the survivors sharing in that experience with each other would be pretty accurate. And they're clearly bored. I mean, we saw them being like, can I go home?
Yeah. Everybody wanting a sandwich. I feel like at that point, I'd be like, all right, if y'all are all asking for sandwiches, you're fine. You're no Earls.
Yeah. But yeah, Whitaker, I agree with you. This was his standout shining moment. I love this character, and we should be seeing him in the future going forward based on where they are in their training. I think he did the best he could. Again, this highlighted for me at least that these physicians are not trained in mental health. They get a couple of classes here and there. They get 1 or 2 rounds of a month each in psychiatry. So like Whitaker comes in and he tries to sit next to him, and I was like, no, don't do that. So the shove, I like how you phrased it, that it was him pushing people away. Yeah, it's because he's traumatized. Don't get closer to someone who's being traumatized and reacting. They want more space, not less. And our instinct is to go forward. It's like, no, back, further back, not across the room, but close enough. Whitaker was very compassionate and very kind. Someone who was like that, I didn't pick up panic attack. I thought he was getting triggered and in a flashback. And he's saying that prayer to try and get him out of it. But yeah, you stay away. I would not have encouraged him to go back out there, but we saw what happened.
I could see your point there, but I think Robbie is, some people, I think, and I am not a mental health expert, but I think some people, their way of coping is distraction. And obviously Robbie is not one who's going to go home and think about the things, call a therapist or whatever. So I think Whitaker was right to tell Robbie, get your shit together. We need you out here.
Yeah.
Let's go, because that was going to be the only way that Robbie was able to come out of that moment.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Not a healthy situation, but it was the best. Like you said, Whitaker did the
Yes.
best he could, and I think it was
Yeah.
right. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to give him a giant shout out.
Yeah.
If I could have crawled through that screen and hugged him, I
I
absolutely would have. So
know. He's adorable. Oh, and also, I think you guys had said it. Would have been the last episode. I've never had an IO put on me, but essentially they drill that in so that it hits bone marrow. That's why it hurts so bad. So like I jumped when he did it to the clown. I was like, oh
Yeah.
god, you definitely don't do that when they're awake and alert.
I want to go back just real quick, Whitaker Robbie situation. 2 things. I didn't think of him pushing him away because because he was triggered. That makes a lot of sense. The way that I interpreted it is that he is hanging on by a shoestring and he did not want to break down. And I am like that. Like if I am in a place where I'm trying to just move forward, don't touch me because I don't want to break down further. So that's how I interpreted that.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's unfair to Whitaker, though, to expect him to have the knowledge to know any better than to say, get back out there, because quite literally they are drowning and people dying. And I think genuinely in his mind, that was exactly what needed to happen.
He did the best he knew to do at that point. And I agree that it was the right call.
Yeah, he did the best he could. And I'd like that he didn't run away.
Yeah, a lot of people would have.
Yeah, like, okay, I'm gonna give you your privacy. Like, he's such an emotionally intelligent person.
If Santos had walked up, that scene would have gone completely differently. If she had found him, she'd have been like, we're cool. I'm gonna be out here. That's one less person to tell me I can't go stabbing people and intubating everybody.
I was thinking that they were rock, paper, scissors. I'm like, oh, please let it be Whitaker.
Yeah.
Kind of wanted it to be Langdon. I mean, he needs his buddy, and they are honestly both struggling.
I think that scene where he couldn't walk up to Jake and he saw Langdon defending him to Jake, I think that went a long way to helping him get over some of his anger with Langdon.
I mean, at this point, if they're going where I think they're going, I think that high horse is about to get a little little rockety. Like, hey, bud, how about we make a pact and both of us go get help?
Well, I hope so. Oh, Robbie. It was a rough ride with you this week, buddy.
Kudos to Noah Wiley. You're doing amazing.
Amen to that. So next point is Santos, Dr. Ellis, and Langdon. When she's like, I'm going to go see what's happening in the red room in typical Santos fashion because she wants more exciting shit. And I was like, that's what you get. You get to walk in and get stuck with Langdon, Santos.
Yeah. And vice versa with Langdon going and looking for some way to get away from Robbie. And he ended up,
they both got what was coming
karma.
to them there.
For sure. And I love Dr. Ellis. I love her.
Oh my God.
First, I want to say I loved Santos standing up for herself and calling Langdon out for the fact that you're not even supposed to be here. But Dr. Ellis working with Santos, I think, is one of the most brilliant matches the show has put together because the chemistry, she doesn't take any shit. And I think she's just what Santos needs.
Yes.
And I like when she was like, "Oh, you're tired," and then she's like, "That patient doesn't give a shit." And I want a t-shirt that says, "Oh yeah, y'all definitely got beef."
I think she was perfect.
And then Santos, when she's trying to get this tea, like, why do you have issues with her? Dude comes in the room and Santos is like, "Peace!" And she bolts before Ellis can even turn around.
Because my girl ain't no snitch. Santos might be a lot of things, but she's not trying to go out there and snitch on people. I love Dr. Ellis. I think she's perfect for her. Santos is like a puppy, and Dr. Ellis is like one of those really good dog trainers.
Like the dog whisperer. She's the Santos whisperer.
Yes. She was perfect. She was like, "I see you. I see your talent. I see who you are. I'm not going to act all shocked because you want to go out there and look for more exciting stuff, but you're also not getting away with it."
Yeah.
She was a good teacher.
Very.
Like her style of interacting with people, that's what I'm like on medical teams.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm just calling it out, like, as I see it, of like something weird definitely happened, and I'm going to address the elephant in the room in kind of a funny way.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to support you and call you out on your BS.
I've got this picture of her following Santos around every time she tries to intubate a patient and slapping her in the nose with a newspaper. No,
a little like zappy thing.
Yes.
Like she's got a little shock collar on her, right?
Like June's bad girl collar that makes a beep.
Every time she's like, "Ooh, can I intubate?" It's like, no. It's like completely reprogramming her brain. I liked all of that. I thought the nuances with Langdon and Santos were very subtle but powerful. But Dr. Ellis stole the show, and I really hope somehow keep her and Santos together because I think she would let Santos keep what makes Santos Santos, but show her how to like harness like the Jedi, how to harness that power and use it for good.
She's a little too Anakin Skywalker right now. We need to we need to redirect this.
Well, and like as much I love our girl Alexander Metz, but Garcia brings out some of the worst tendencies in Santos, and I don't think she's a good role model in properly helping her to develop her skills and encouraging her skills. Dr. Ellis seems to be somebody who's also no nonsense, but much better at saying, "Slow your roll."
I'm hoping now that we have Dr. Ellis, Garcia and Santos can be lovers. And then, because we all joke, you have your work wife or husband and you have your home wife or husband. I want Garcia, especially after getting to talk with Alexander Metz. She's insane. She's absolutely
such a crush
amazing.
on her. I was like such a crush on her.
These two ladies are going to help this young woman grow into a beautiful, thriving, strong, still keep that sass.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm here for it. So
maybe learn better ways to express it.
Girl, you need to work on your bedside manner.
That was
so
amazing.
Good. And then Santos is like, asshole reporter, and then takes a bite of her Kit Kat. I'm like, fair.
Yeah.
But what I love about that is that she didn't get her feelings hurt. She took that in and was like, yeah. And then when she said he was an asshole reporter, Dr. Ellis was like, "Oh, all right, cool. Yeah, that makes sense."
Dr. Santos is someone where, I love Issa Briones. I've loved her since Star Trek Picard. She's such a phenomenal actress, and she's bringing so much nuance to this character. And I'd want to be friends with her character. I would never want to be her coworker or supervisor. It feels like a wild horse running loose in the ER. I got really irritated with the nicknames because she was just using them all the time this episode. And she's like, "I'm going to look for more fun things." And because like, hey, you're not saying it in your indoor voice either. Like patients can hear you. And it's also like, cool, you're going to leave all your other people with the scud.
Right.
So I've been thinking a lot about her character. And I think you're totally right, Mandy. Like, I think there is like a misogyny in the viewers watching her because I find her and Dr. Langdon very similar, and people are not judging him as harshly. And yes, he's a senior resident, but I do think there's misogyny. I think there's racism because she's a woman of color. So I think what they're trying to do is Dr. Langdon is a more established character. He's been with Robbie. If he's a senior resident, he's been with Robbie for like 3 or 4 years. So you get matched for residency. Also, kudos to all the match day for all the med students. Congrats. Their match day was like a couple weeks ago.
Awesome.
And kudos to Patrick Ball because he has a lot of charm and charisma. Like when he's on screen, my eyes get pulled to him, and not just because he's very pretty, floppy boy band hair and all that I love, but I also find his character engaging on the screen. And I know Issa Briones has that. So I think what they're doing is they're leaning into the imposter syndrome, a bit of a less pleasant character that came maybe like rubs people the wrong way, and then she develops over the time. Like I agree. I think she's going to end up killing a patient because she's too overconfident.
Yeah.
And I think this will be the shift over, and we've already started to see it. I mean,
Yeah.
I give her a lot of credit for how she's handling everything.
Mm-hmm.
And to speak to the Dr. Ellis, it's really true for, at least in my field, with trainees of like, if they don't let you teach them, there's not a lot you can do.
Yeah.
And we saw that in the episode where Dr. Langdon tried a different approach. He wasn't as bitchy towards her, and she did respond. She's like, "Oh, you're giving me another chance," as you should, as her supervisor. And she leaned into it. This sort of like weird pushback is not really a thing you're supposed to be doing in front of patients, which is what Dr. Ellis called out. You don't have to like him, but you do got to respect him. Robbie let him stay here, so your opinions about this need to go.
Yeah.
But Dr. Ellis is, I believe, an ER attending or an ER resident. So it makes sense.
She's
that
the
she could
night
connect better.
Robbie.
Yeah. So she could connect to them better.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's head on into the final main point. And this was my second favorite portion of the show is Dr. King and Dr. King and Dr. Robbie. Taylor Dearden, if you're listening, please come talk to us. You blow my freaking mind every week. You are an incredible actress. The way she got the PTSD lady to talk about her situation, and it was so natural. And, you know, we learned the story that the husband had MS and that the wife was trying to protect him, you know, taking the time to make sure that that woman's daughter was found and then that she was reunited. The way she answered the lady when the lady's like, "How do you deal with all this death and carnage?" And it was almost like a light bulb went off. Like she'd never really thought of that before. And she's like, I don't know. And she could have gone on and focused on the trauma, but she stopped when she saw the little girl sitting in the ambulance. And then it was very cute King thing when she pulled off her gown and was like, "Oh yeah, that's scary," with all the blood over it. And then the way she walked out of that room and was letting her emotions come out. Everything she was feeling was so raw. And Robbie looked at her, and this is where I hate that what happened with McKay followed this moment, because it was so beautiful from Robbie. He's like, "Never apologize for feeling something for your patients. Today was chaos. You were awesome. I'm really glad you're with us, Dr. King." I just loved all of that.
So good.
Yeah, I got no notes on that except to back up everything you said. I love Dr. King. Taylor Dearden is an incredible actress. The only thing I do want to say is the one moment that I had in this episode where I wasn't at least a little bit frustrated with Robbie is when he went off on that lady who was willing to let her kid die from measles because she didn't want to get a spinal tap. That's so topical for this day and age. I tell my kids all the time, I foresaw a lot of things that I worried about before I had children. Never did I believe that we were going to be living in the dumbest timeline where people trust science to give you a computer that you carry around in your pocket that's got more power in it than the shuttles that took the astronauts to the moon, but you don't trust them about basic things like vaccines. It's just insane, and I don't know how they deal with it.
And Dr. Robbie said it perfectly. They want medical treatment, but they don't want the medical knowledge.
Yeah, it was something like that. But yes, that was perfectly said. Yes. Fix me, but do it only in the way that I, with all of my vast understanding of human medicine, agree with. It's crazy.
The amount, I mean, I can only speak the psychological part of medicine. Please don't diagnose yourself off a TikTok or an Instagram post. The DSM that we used to diagnose people with is always meant to be a guide. It was never meant to be what insurance companies use them as and hospitals have to use them as, which is a diagnosis only manual. You're supposed to guide it in treatment. So people are diagnosing themselves without the training of knowing the nuance. The DSM is not culturally normative either. You cannot generalize it to different people. So yeah, the measles, it's a wild thing, and I'm really glad that they got into this when Robbie was traumatized and actively still in his trauma, because I don't think enough credit is given to hospital workers and frontline workers during COVID. And yeah, it was really nice when everyone was like cheering for the nurses as they're going into their shift. And then to be in a hospital when the vaccine came out, and then the sudden pushback when the public had to do something to step up to keep everyone safe was really offensive. And like I said, I'm not a doctor or a nurse. So like I was offended that you don't want to take this vaccine, not because you're a person of color and we've continue to experiment on people of color in medicine. That was fine. That was like, nope, I get it. You don't want the vaccine. I don't blame you. But the vast majority were white people. There's just a lot of trauma there. So here, frontline workers went through all this trauma like Robbie did on the show, and people died that should not have died. Dr. Adamson should not be dead in this show, just like a lot of other people. And then you have science that is available to save you, and you're arguing with me, and this is the same mentality that we're like, yay, thank you, frontline workers, but no, if we have to do something, we're not going to take it. The sheer entitlement of that, it pissed me off. And it's just really, I thought it was such beautiful timing and really in line with healthcare workers of like, we dealt when we didn't have treatment or prevention for something that was killing people on a massive scale, and we were helpless. And now we have something to save these innocent people, and you're arguing with us. You gave us this responsibility, and now we're in distress and we want to help you, but you want to look at Dr. Google instead.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the news, but that child that died in Texas a few weeks back, the mother went on record with saying that she's still not vaccinating her other children because really the measles isn't that bad. She had a child die, and her only response to that is they're in a better place. And this is why I am not in healthcare, because frankly, in my mind, that is, oh, okay, so you clearly are willing to put your children in danger up to and including the point of death. You don't need to have custody of children anymore.
Society hasn't caught up with the advancements. Like people refusing to vaccinate their children is a relatively new phenomenon as far as laws and everything kind of come into place. Those parents were vaccinated for the measles.
Right.
But yeah, it's a horrendous thing. I can't work with children because I cannot have these conversations.
Same. Yeah.
You know, for adults, they may not like it, but they do choose their situations. I cannot sit with that. And kudos to people who can. Dr. King, I'm so glad Taylor Sheridan is getting her flowers for this, because I mean, she is really the heart of the show for me. I mean, Robbie is the leader of it, but Dr. King is the heart of it. I would love to work with Dr. King. Like, I feel like we'd be really good friends. She reminds me a lot of patients that I have who are on the spectrum of, I can see why she did really well at the VA. And she does really well with patients. Very insightful people. I find them to be wonderful humans. Yeah. And I like that this is a very human portrayal of something that someone was born with.
Partly is what makes her good at what she does. Yeah. In my opinion, which we've covered in the past.
Yeah. There was even a scene where Santos was like rushing by King and went to go touch her or like something because she was pushing her away, and like she like flinched back. I'm like, I like the details.
I saw that too. Yeah.
All right. Well, if it's all right with you ladies, let's go ahead and dive into chart notes. So first chart note, Abbott is a badass. Give me him and Mohan together all the time.
Yeah. He was so good for her. He was really good pushing her out of her comfort zone.
It was very cute.
I love it.
It was very cute when he gives her kudos for pulling off that really risky procedure. And he's like, take the win, Mohan. And he's like, besides, I wasn't going to do it. It was too risky. I loved that. Hats off to Sean Hattasey. I loved the little glimpse we got of him in the very first episode. And I'm so glad they brought him back to go full circle. But this made me laugh so hard every time they said it. Nipples to navel being no man's land. And all I could think about was, for us ladies, parts of us don't stand up like they used to. Nipples to no man's land has gotten a lot shorter, if you know what I mean. So
Now, is that true when you inhale too? When they say when they inhale, the bullet could go underneath the diaphragm. I was like, oh dear God, like
Ooh.
this is
Yeah,
horrific.
I don't know. I'm just looking at it from like more of a map geography standpoint more than a full point
Cartography.
medical standpoint. The region has gotten smaller.
Well, my nipples are now a shield for the nipples to navel region.
The nipple shield.
Yes.
I'm thinking like that Batman movie where like
There's
Yes. Where the breastplate is just like two sagging breasts. Yeah.
it's beautiful.
It's great being a woman.
Amazing.
It is.
I have in my notes, I'm like, Walsh and Abbott shtup like rabbits after the shift, right? Like shtup is Yiddish for
Oh, Walsh,
like-
Walsh was the other doctor that was mad at him because
I
he
could
was
totally
injured.
see them
There was
boning
a
it
vibe.
out.
yeah, that was
after
like
the
I,
show.
There was a
I picked
vibe.
up some heat, and like I don't like to be flirted with that way, but I can see those two enjoying it as like a form of formal foreplay or something. Those two are shtupping.
I ship what can we call them? Atawash, Abosh,
Yeah,
Abosh.
I like it.
Because she's washed. Washbot.
Washabot.
Washbot.
Washbot.
Wash.
Yeah, there you go.
Washbot.
I don't
Whatever.
think they can do this, but what about Wobbit?
Oh, that's cute. I like it. All right, hear us, writers of the pit.
We want Wabbit.
More Wabbit.
All right, so Javati, her face when they mentioned blood donors, she's like, nope. I heard Mandy, the way Mandy always says nope in my head. That was Javati. And then when Mateo compliments her and calls her
I was
by her
judging
name,
her for that, by the way. I was
For not
judging Javati.
donating?
Yeah.
It's Javati. The fact that she's still standing after
How far she's
being
come.
blood
Yeah,
covered.
that's true.
I'm gonna let her slide on giving blood. But the way when that fine ass Mateo complimented her and called her by her name, and she's like, he knows my name. All I could hear was Javati saying, so you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah. The world was healing from that horrible tragedy we all experienced when I'm Free Sunday happened. This healed all of that. Yes.
So next chart note, Dana. I love Dana. She's so amazing. And I love her making that beeline to Jake when she found out that Robbie had told Jake that he was gone. And I also kudos to her for when she was like, Langdon, can I talk to you for a minute? I thought she was going to be like, shit, settle down. You need to get the F out of here. But nope, she had him go talk to Jake because somebody that Jake respects, admires, and knew that he would listen to. She's so smart. And I thought that was a really cool move.
And shout out to our charge nurses out there. I mean, so my favorite people to work with are nurses. Nurses are the heartbeats. I mean, I know I said EMS were, but like, I mean, nurses, you cannot make a hospital work without nurses. It's why they couldn't put the patients on a different floor because they didn't staff it with nurses.
Yeah.
No, they didn't staff it with doctors, but with nurses. And charge nurses are my people. I always got along really well with the charge nurses, and they are just like Dana. Everything great I've learned about how to function in a hospital, I've learned from the charge nurses. So big shout out to you, rock stars.
Yeah, high five,
You
Dana.
guys are, high five, real life Danas. You guys are amazing, and just all the nurses are amazing.
And then we have Shen. I thought Shen did a great job keeping it real with Robbie when he lost his mind about the Dr. Google. But I had to laugh. And Mandy, we joke about always taking everything back to the restaurants. Mandy and I both started our professional careers working as servers in restaurants. And he said he said the Q word, and she's like,
God,
don't
Becky, we have the same brain.
say that. Because the rule in the restaurant industry, well, at least in the company we worked for, was the 10-minute rule. You unlock the doors 10 minutes before and you leave the doors open 10 minutes after. So at 10:50, when the restaurant closes at 11, the one person who is like, oh, I'm so glad we're done and nobody's coming in, guaranteed somebody was going to come in, and it was whoever said it. Yeah, that's your table. I don't care. I'm done. So I laughed so hard with that whole interaction because it made me think of
The restaurant.
Yes.
That whole, that, God, Becky, we have the same brain, because that, and also just the whole vibe of when the quote unquote rush was over. I know that it is, I've pointed out before, I am very exquisitely aware that it is not life or death stakes when you're in a restaurant, but tell that to my nervous system when I've been through a rush like that, because it is very, very stressful. And it is very much that vibe where all of a sudden you go from I don't know my own name, running on sheer adrenaline and nerve, to, well, that's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very much reminded me of the restaurant.
I think every single person in the world should have to work in a customer service job, be a waiter, waitress, hostess. Cause like I did it. I did it for years. That's how I put myself through undergrad. You're correct. Like that adrenaline rush is like, that's very similar, and it's really stressful. If anything, you guys get the worst temperaments because people feel entitled to what you're doing in a way. In a hospital, they're afraid and vulnerable for the most part and are more open. People are ginormous assholes. And then your tip is dependent on these assholes. And so I think anyone who works in medicine knows when he said it twice in the episode. I have a visceral memory of that, because I was like, you don't say that.
Didn't you learn the first time?
I know. I was like, those are like in my brain. Like, you never say that. Full moons, saying it's quiet, like you can call it a superstition, but it's true.
It's facts. There's evidence.
To Dr. Shen's credit, I also have a dark sense of humor. Most people who work in a hospital do. Like you just gotta. You see some of the worst shit.
Yeah,
you do get a really rough sense of humor. Because then I'm sure you get this in the service industry too. Of you ever make a joke that's funny in work, but then you say it to the non-working crowd and they look at you afraid, like, oh God. It's like, oh no, that's not funny to you. You're not a little dead on the inside too.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I just made a note here for chart note. Well done, makeup team, special effects for Blue Dude, because he was totally cool looking. And then my last chart note is the hero patient. I'm so glad she found her brother, and what a hero, putting off his own serious injury. God knows how many lives he saved. I'm glad that he got his moment. I hope he survives.
I love that he was a service member too, because I think that is probably pretty accurate, that if you're in law enforcement or you've been in the service, that you are more likely to jump in and try to help.
Yeah, and he just, when he was talking to his sister, he's like, I tried. That was such a beautiful story and a beautiful performance.
Yeah, I as someone who's honored, I work with a lot of veterans, and that is really accurate for our wonderful heroes. And I believe he said he was a corpsman. He was a medical person in the military. And I mean, our veterans have a level of bravery that I can never even dream of aspiring to. And it's very much fits in character with them. I'm sure people were still alive because of him. And then I was like, oh gosh, if he dies because he stuck around to save people. Like, so in real life, guys, take care of yourselves.
All right, Mandy, what's your chart note?
Where's Myrna? Where is Myrna?
I had that too.
We still don't know where Myrna is.
So I have a theory. Did she kill the shooter?
She's still dieharding it through the air duct vents.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm not 100% sure that Myrna's not the second shooter. We don't know. She's a wild card.
I was like, is Myrna like by day a psych patient, by night a vigilante? Like she hears mass shooting and she's like, I'm needed, unhooks herself from the handcuffs, and just away she goes to dole out justice to the mass shooter.
That character reminds me of some of the older women that were characters on Orange is the New Black, where, when you first get to know them, they are just these sweet little old ladies. And then when they have the episode where they dig into their crime and you find out that they did the most horrendous shit. I like to believe that Myrna is one of those.
She really did put her husband through a meat grinder.
Yeah.
This theory just popped in my head. Now that the shooting is over, I kind of hope Myrna and Earl are in like some private room eating sandwiches and boning.
Oh, that would be adorable.
Making a sandwich.
Merle. Their name is Merle.
Guys, you get this to Noah Wiley right now. rewrites. We've still got a week before this goes
Yeah, we
on
got
the air.
time. We got time to get this reshot.
Post episode credits.
Yes.
I want them in a gurney, naked from the chest up, just like
Just eating the sandwiches.
yes, just eating sandwiches.
So I will say that I like that much better than like a dark thought that went through my head, which is, next week I'm pretty sure we're going to see them all go back to their lives, is that Myrna is outside Robbie's apartment.
Hello, fruitcake.
Yeah, and like it's like, oh no.
Honestly, not the worst ending.
You want to bring viewers back for season 2? Have Myrna sitting on your doorstep when you get home. End credits.
Yes.
I'm tuning in.
I think it's going to be like Robbie is standing on the ledge thinking about like calling back to Abbott from the first episode, and he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then he turns around and goes in, and there's Myrna in his kitchen with boiling his bunny on the stove.
Got the meat grinder out.
Yeah, she's like, hi, fruitcake.
Yeah.
Y'all, let us in the writer's room. I don't know what more proof you need that we need to be in your writer's room.
that call is definitely coming in
So
a day
great.
now.
I feel like
So
you're right.
great. Just like one of the things I want to do is like shout out to the writers and actors. I don't know if it's accurate, but I do like that a lot of the characters have some queer overtones on them, and I like the normalization of that in the show.
Oh,
it's not
yeah.
something that they're
Yes.
focusing on, it just is, and mathematically it would be correct.
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about that in one of our earlier episodes that we love, be it Taylor Dearden playing someone on the spectrum or Issa Briones and Dr. Garcia. It's not, as Mandy likes to say, special episode, or as I say, an after school special moment. It just is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a much more accurate representation of reality than most television shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just had like 4 quick nuance.
Sure, yeah.
Princess and Perla checking in with each other.
Oh, that was
On
sweet.
it. I thought that was a really great thing and just a nice connection to each other. Another nurse says, preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. It's what we do.
Yeah.
Learned it directly from nurses that I worked with. That is how medicine works. If they want to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. I do bring up to my patients as far as writing down a hit list, or joking like I'm going to kill that person. And it's like I tell them that's a choice you're making and making that statement. But if something happens to them, you're screwed. We have freedom of choice, but not freedom from responsibility. So anyone saying like, well, he just made a list. Yeah, but it's mass shootings. And I had talked about this briefly with Mandy before I just wanted to thank you for both of you have been so open about how you're feeling and how things are in your life. And I wanted to really send kudos to you too. Like you guys have this platform and reaching out to people, and I just thought that was so brave and awesome. And I had like this visceral reaction when I heard, Mandy, what that primary care physician said to you. Like I had my windows down, I was like, fucking hell, these doctors. Because it's just contributing to the stigma. And I will say, just PSA to everyone, please, if you have a specialty thing like mental health, cardiology, kidneys, feet, go to the specialist in that field. The only reason you should be going to your primary care provider is because you need a referral or a consult. But if you have a mental health concern, please don't go to your primary care physician or your general practitioner. They do not have the nuanced training that psychiatrists spend their entire medical career getting. Absolutely, please go to a psychiatric nurse practitioner, psychiatric physician's assistant, psychiatrist. Go to your PCP and say that. And PCPs out there, please refer them out to a psychiatrist or psychiatric provider if you really want the best care for your patient, making the referral. And since COVID, a lot of things are done virtually, and there is a way to connect them to a virtual service. Also, see a psychologist. We're there to advocate for you and help you do behavioral change. Working together is the best treatment for mental illness.
Awesome.
I think that as somebody in the South, especially, there is a little bit of a dearth of mental health professionals. So why I am so passionate about speaking honestly about mental health, because I guess what I want to say is that if you need to go to a primary care physician initially to get in, absolutely. If you're in an emergency crisis situation and you need to get on medication or you need to talk to a professional right now, and the PCP is the first place that you can get in, start there. But to what Sam said, don't just take their word for it. Keep advocating for yourself. Find the doctors that are the experts in whatever is going on with you and let them take care of you and take their advice.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And it takes time.
Yeah.
I like to tell people nothing lasts forever, not the good or the bad.
Yep.
A quick thing is you guys talked about fail forward from the episode. I use that in my work.
Aw.
So you guys had that chat. I was like, yeah, look at us.
And Becky, I know we're moving into final thoughts. That really is my final thought. Is the episode was great, but a lot of the talk that we've had is about mental health and seeing how Robbie's quickly deteriorating mental health is making him unsafe, even though we've seen him be a hero throughout this entire season.
So, yep, those were my final thoughts too.
Awesome. Well, we can go ahead and move into trivia. Mandy, you've got some trivia for us. What is it?
Real quick, the first fun trivia fact is McKay's dad was actually played by her real life father in this episode, actor Brad Dourif, aka the voice of Chucky the evil doll from the Chucky franchise.
Who haunted me for a long time.
Oh man, Becky, don't tell me that. Seeing how many times I have taken and put ceramic dolls in my son's bed just to mess with him. You're getting a Chucky doll for your birthday now. Real quick, just because I can't stop beating a dead horse, but it's also just really important to me, especially if we've got any young men out there that are listening and wondering why this issue is so important to us about McKay and reporting the kid that had the list that wanted to harm young women. The estimates published by the World Health Organization, the most recent estimates indicate that globally, about 1 in 3 or 30% of women worldwide have been subjected to either physical and or sexual intimate partner violence or non-partner sexual violence in their lifetime. And another interesting statistic is that according to recent studies, 98% of mass shootings are committed by men, and a quarter of those are by men and boys under the age of 25. We women just live in a different reality, guys. We just do.
Yep.
There is like this assumption of it's rare, or it was in the past.
Mm-mm.
The Netflix movie Adolescence does a great job of looking into that.
Oh, that was wild.
Like, I've been recommending it to my patients. It's sort of this thing that exists outside of a lot of men's awareness. And so it's a very real and present thing about how society is letting down these boys as well. And letting down the girls that are the target. It's not a secret. Like, I mean, like, this is sort of this thing out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's very aware. When we're told, like, you tell your girlfriends, your kids, oh, be careful out there. From whom?
Yeah.
So
Not that women cannot commit sexual violence. The overwhelming numbers are that it's women that are, generally speaking, more vulnerable.
And Josh Johnson is a stand-up comedian. He has this great clip where he said, he's like, guys aren't friends with all the other guys out here either. I'm kind of afraid of the bad men too.
Yeah.
They're gonna kill me.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that is true.
Yeah.
So I thought that was great to bring that in, because that is this underlying threat in there that Robbie seems to not understand. And why would he?
Yeah.
No shade to Dr. Robbie. I'd still climb him like a tree.
Hopefully he'll learn his lesson and it won't have to be at the expense of McKay.
Myrna's going to be there to
learn him.
Show him what it's like.
Fun with Myrna too.
Yeah. So I have a quick misdiagnosis. It's not really a misdiagnosis, but it made me think. As much as it hurts my brain, I do appreciate people who make me think. So Maureen commented on episode 13 where I had made the comment that I gave the show 4.5 out of 5 because I thought a lot of it was filler. And she asked the question, well, what exactly did you think was filler? And when I started thinking about what I thought was filler, I was like, okay, wait, that really was actually point of levity or an important part of the show. So I'm going to think twice before using that word. And thank you, Maureen. I was wrong and I am going to change my rating. We're going to go 5 out of 5.
5 bullet wounds.
Yeah.
See, this is the sense of humor. Like I'm talking
5 sandwiches out of 5.
That sounds more healthy.
We're here for it.
I thought it and I was like, just go for it.
No, it's good.
Sandwiches is better.
All right, so show notes and news, not a whole lot. I just want to talk about the absolute pleasure we had of interviewing the beautiful, talented, lovely, and now making sure she gets her water intake daily, Alexandra Metz. It was so much fun. That interview is up, and I genuinely hope all of y'all will take a moment to listen and let us know what you think.
You guys did a great job too. It was like three friends chatting. I loved it.
She made it so easy.
Yeah.
Speaking of lovely, we also spoke with Ambar Martinez. And next week, we are excited to talk with Crystal McNeil about her role as Kiara, everybody's favorite social worker. I don't want to pass by Ambar, though, because she was also amazing.
Oh my God. We had to force ourselves to get off the Zoom
We've made a new friend. Yeah.
Oh,
because
I
that's
love
how
it.
it feels. They're amazing people. And it's just it's
I
such a
love that.
blessing, which brings me to why all of this is even happening, and that's the Pitt fan page. None of these would be happening without you, and we're very excited. The head honcho of the page will be joining us next week to discuss the season finale, so we're very excited about that.
If you do have questions for Crystal McNeil, aka Kiara, please send them to us, and we will pick a couple of those and ask in our interview.
Yeah, the Pitt fan page has helped too getting the word out on their page. So we've gotten some fun fan questions, and we have made sure to give credit to each fan when talking to the guest. Please keep them coming.
Yeah, I actually joined the fan page because of the podcast.
Oh, yay!
It
The
is.
content is amazing.
I love it. I love it so much.
They do a
It's so
great job.
Very.
Yeah, very dedicated.
All right. Well, my favorite part of the episode, feedback.
Yeah, let's jump right in. So
Yep.
via YouTube on episode 13, at Linda1541 said, "This is your best review of the show yet. Very insightful," with a heart emoji.
I
Thank
agree.
you,
Well,
Linda.
heart emoji to you, Linda. Thank
Yep.
you.
I love that. I got this one at Kano0794. I just said I love this one, and I'm sorry. I think I said your name wrong. Kano.
It's been said differently each episode, so bear with us.
I'm sorry. At Kano0794 gave a delightful description, a really easy look at for who everyone is. So in the hierarchy in the hospital, obviously it's Dr. Robbie and Dr. Abbott. At Kano says Dr. Collins and Dr. Langdon are senior residents, so likely fourth and final year of their residency. Below them is Dr. Mohan. She is a third year resident. Dr. McKay and Dr. King are second year residents. Dr. Santos is an intern, first year resident, so she just got matched to the Pitt. To the Pitt. Whitaker, not a doctor yet. He's in his fourth and final year medical student. Little side note, that's why I think we might see him in future seasons if he matches at the Pitt. And Javadi is a third year medical student, so a little bit below him. Realistically, you wouldn't have medical students or even likely interns doing IOs without supervision. But in this mass casualty scenario, all normal protocol goes out the window. The normal see one, do one, teach one goes out the window. And also, MRAP is awesome. Smiley face.
I love you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for answering our questions every week. And you do it in such a chill way that makes perfect sense. And we heart you. So glad you're listening, and hope that all is well in Canada. And if you've got space for three really lovely, lovely ladies and our cats and dogs
and a bunch of dogs,
and,
please,
maybe our spouses. Please let us know.
Any Canadians want to marry me so I can get shelter.
Sam is available.
I'll work for your mental health hospitals in there.
I'll start eating poutine. I'm not afraid. I want to tell you though, seriously, Kano0794, you have completely changed my understanding of this show now. Like, I did not realize that Dr. King and Dr. McKay were on the same level. Thank you.
Yeah, they only said it in the first episode, and I actually had that saved, but at Kano is way more informed.
So next up, we have at Alleyoup7024. Love the name. It's been mentioned in interviews that Santos grew up in competitive gymnastics, which makes her personally a lot more understandable to me. That doesn't make what she does or the way she treats people okay, but I understand now that she was literally raised to be competitive and to have or feign confidence. That's a good point. Also, she was clearly exploited by some adult during this time, given her dialogue with the father accused of touching his daughter. It does not make the way she handled that situation okay. I actually think that would be the scenario where she would face repercussions in real life, but it wouldn't be realistic to have that be a part of the show, given the timeline of his recovery and that this show takes place in one day. That's a very good feedback, Alley. I
That's
didn't
true.
think about the gymnastic, which would make the sexual assault, all of that, given what we know about gymnastics, that would make a lot of that make sense. So that's good feedback. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Please keep writing in.
awesome.
Via the Pit with Noah Wiley on Mac's fan page. On episode 13, Leah Sarley writes, I want him to have that dang room painted. He lost his friend in it. He had 2 deaths this shift in this room, I think, and had to tell Jake about Leah in this room. And then she's got like the angry emoji, sad emoji, shock emoji. And I agree with all of those emojis.
100%.
Yeah.
Just burn it down and rebuild it.
There's just something so creepy about the fact that it's in the peds unit every time. I'm ready for like they need something way more goth on the walls back there.
Right?
Yeah, horrific. The cheerful display offsetting just how sad it is.
Yeah.
Via the Pit's Reddit page on episode 13, Life Masterpiece 161 wrote, great episode, hold on to your hats. Very accurate.
So via our Facebook page on episode 13, Maureen Wilson, filler. I'm kidding, Maureen. I love you. I was listening while driving and had to pull over. Robbie's raw emotion is palpable. Good review again, but I'm sorry. 4.5 stars. Say what? I thought the gentle humor, which was Whitaker with the IO drill, McKay drilling at her ankle monitor, and the helipad scene, was necessary for the cast to get through all of that emotional turmoil. I laughed out loud when Winky Fingers Huckleberry hit the clown with the drill. Then Santos telling him he could only use it on mine sent me into a fit. We needed the relief as we ramped up for the ending. And yes, Jake's reaction was exactly what you'd expect from a kid. He thinks of Robbie as a superhero, not a human. How could he fail to save her? So it was this conversation, and I commented on Maureen's comment where I was like, I'm not saying it wasn't great. I just thought a lot of it was filler. And that's where she said, what exactly was filler? And I think I took like a day to respond. And I was like, okay, maybe filler's not the right word. So thanks.
Sounds like it was out of sync for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great point. And yes, Jake thinks of Robbie as a superhero, not a human. That's why you don't do this with your own family members. I mean, obviously for drama reasons, it was excellent.
Right.
But in real life, you let Dana come with you so she can break that up. Erica Land said, started listening when I pulled up to work this morning and continuing while getting my classroom ready for the day. I should have been prepared to hear Robbie's breakdown again, but I definitely was not. Laughing and crying emoji. Yeah, when I heard that, that was great to put at the beginning of the episode. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, y'all are welcome. I'll make you cry again.
That was a great choice, Becky. I thought so too. I'm glad somebody gave you kudos for that.
No, thank you.
Yeah, that was a great choice.
Via our Facebook feedback post for episode 14, Mary Warden Good says, where has Myrna disappeared to?
She's eating sandwiches with Earl getting naked.
We figured it out. I was so hoping she would end up taking down the shooter. Ha ha ha. Yeah, we still got one episode. Erica added, definitely hope she is somewhere safe. Mary also wrote, the Q word is a terrible, awful, bad word in a hospital and a restaurant, Mary. And in a restaurant. Dude was dumb as heck to use it twice. And then there's like six exclamation points after that.
That was amazing. Thank you, Mary.
It was great.
Linda Morrison wrote, I still don't think McKay was wrong alerting the police about David, saying, I'm sticking up for her, as are we. If someone says they're going to do harm to someone or harm themselves, they need an emergency intervention. Agree. I figured we wouldn't learn who the shooter was. The show is focusing on what's going on in the ER. It's showing the traumatic effects on the staff and patients. And I think when patients leave the emergency room, that is the end of their story for the audience. That's very true. There were patients that I would like to see them follow up, but I don't think we'll get that. But wouldn't it be great if they did a spinoff? They could call it After the Pit. They can follow up on the patient's lives after they leave the ER. Example, the burn victim dies and Whitaker becomes friends with his wife and eventually marries her.
It was fan fiction.
I love this. You should write that, Linda. The sex trafficking victim escapes and then there's a wild chase and eventually she gets rescued. They would never run out of stories. And I almost forgot. Myrna finds Doug and is torturing him in her basement with a laughing, crying face emoji. Oh my God, Linda. Every bit of that was brilliant.
And I just want to follow up with that, Linda. That's so accurate. And that adds to the type of moral injury that staff go through. This very realistic. You don't get to find out what happens to your patients after they leave the hospital. And that is a part of it. My patients end therapy or they're discharged. Frequently, I don't get to see them again. And I do think about them every once in a while. So that is part of the hard things for the staff. But yeah, you don't get to know. And that's kind of hard. We are people who like narratives and stories, and we don't really like it when we don't get an ending.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
Mm-hmm.
And Maureen Wilson added to that comment, I'm with you on McKay to a point. Her superior told her not to do it and she went against his order. She did, and Maureen says that's the issue. Her correct course of action would have been to have a dialogue with the boss and either convince him he was wrong or understand his point of view. I hate that she's being arrested for messing with her ankle monitor, though. I am going to defend McKay on that. McKay did try to talk to him and tell him this isn't right. This is not good. And Robbie didn't want to hear it. And so she did what she thought she had to do, which I still say was the right thing. Even Robbie admitted to her that it was the right thing. So there's nothing anyone can say that's going to make me feel like what he did at the end of this episode with her was the right way to go. But I do agree that he's pissed because she went against his orders, but I'm still Team McKay on that one.
Yeah, and from a legal standpoint, medical standpoint, he has a right to be mad because you're right. She did go against him and she did try to, convince him and he didn't do it. Physicians are just like psychologists. You have an ethical code of do no harm, and she feared for the harm because of her boss's blind spot on this. So with the duty to warn that is in line, she can't get him to get David admitted against his will. I'm not quite sure how they did that wiggle room with the mom. I'm not familiar with that. That must be a Pennsylvania thing. But she can't get this kid admitted to the hospital. And the right thing to do is call the police. You have a duty to warn if you know that this is happening. If, God forbid, he had been the shooter, McKay doesn't get to say to law enforcement, to attorneys, well, my boss said no, so I didn't do it. She has her own ethical code that she needs to follow. He is right to be mad, and McKay did the right thing.
Yeah.
It's her ethical obligation.
Yeah.
It sucks. There's a lot of politics in hospital work. And Erica Land said, most fun part about tonight, and it's not about the episode in particular. It was awesome to see the alumni of the Child's Play / Chucky franchise that has been on this series, especially this episode. First, we have Fiona Dorff, Dr. McKay, who plays Nika Pierce in the Child's Play franchise. David, the young man we thought would be the mass shooter, played the president's son in the 3rd season of the Chucky TV series. Then tonight, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Brad Dourif, Fiona's real-life dad, who has voiced Chucky since the beginning, guest starred as Dr. McKay's dad.
Amazing.
I got such a chuckle when he talked and you could hear Chucky.
Oh God. And I was like, don't take that boy. Do not send your son with him.
Anybody gets killed by Chucky, I wish it would have been Harrison. I would have loved to have seen Chucky go to
Chad.
work.
You mean the husband.
Chad.
I was like,
but wasn't his name Harrison Chadwick?
Chadwick Harrison.
Okay.
But yeah. She did that last week, and I was like, no, you don't hate Harrison. You hate Chad.
I don't hate Harrison. I hate Chad, and I would have loved to have seen Chucky go ham on Chad.
There is a Chad that
It's always a Chad.
I'm sorry
to the Chads out there.
Hashtag not all Chads, but a lot of them.
But a lot of Chads.
Yeah. But you know at least one of them.
Yeah.
We all know at least one of them. I'm betting.
When he said he's like douchebag name for a douchebag guy or something like that, I was like,
yeah, that was awesome.
It was impressive.
Oh.
So Maureen Wilson says Whitaker was in theology. Say what? My favorite scene tonight had to be Dr. Robbie and Whitaker, 1T or 2. She's got a question mark because she's not sure. That's my girl. I never know if it's 1T or 2 in any of those.
I
don't even get me started on Cincinnati.
Oh God. Go ahead.
I love it. She's like, no, please don't get her started on Cincinnati.
Yeah, please.
I love it. The nuanced emotions, the in-your-face emotions, all of it was just beautiful. My second favorite scene was Doctors Langdon and Santos squaring off. The acting was superb. You could feel the tension, feel the release. Amazing work. Thank you, Maureen.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
So we're getting more email now. Sam, you started it and you started sending in your voicemails, and I love it. Now we're getting more. New listener, Deborah B. I just found your podcast and am obsessed with the Pitt and Dr. Robbie. Hey, you and me both, girl. And just listened to episode 1, and you guys are fantastic. Oh, thank you. I get easily annoyed with podcasts if I don't like the host's chemistry or what they're talking about or whatever, and was thrilled to find you. Oh, I love
Aw.
Facts.
you. Love it. I can't wait to listen to you talk about the rest of the show and more from you. Be careful what you wish for. The other reason I wanted to write, and she puts in parentheses type question mark creepy, was to talk about degloving. Oh, yay! Because that's a fun one.
We
Yeah.
love a degloving.
She says, I had friends with the family who were carpenters and mechanics, and those guys never wear wedding rings because getting a ring caught on something and then your finger would either come off or be gloved. I don't know why I know this, but that's what happened to Jimmy Fallon a few years ago. You're right.
I forgot
His
about
ring
that.
got caught on something and his finger was degloved. I totally forgot about that. And she says, that's all. Keep up the great work. You gained a fan. Deborah, you are amazing. Thank you
Deborah.
so much. And
You're
we love you
amazing.
and can't
I
wait
love
for you to stay on this ride with us.
That's awesome. Oh, I
Yeah.
love her.
Okay, so another new listener, Nathan Eshelman, says, "Hey, Becky and Mandy, one of your people."
Yes.
Sam,
Love
yeah.
Nathan.
We love the chosen people. Hey, Becky and Mandy, just wanted to share some thoughts and say that I love your podcast. I have nostalgic memories of watching ER with my parents in the 90s, but I really haven't watched a hospital show since then. However, I'm a massive fan of Fiona Dorff, and she seemed really enthusiastic about the project, so I decided to check out the Pit. It was so cool to see her real life dad, Brad Dourif, play her dad on the show. Agreed. He's probably most famous for being the voice of Chucky, the killer doll, for nearly 40 years at that point. Oh, don't say that. 40 years. That's sometimes
That's me old.
So Nathan just said we're all old.
Yes.
I forget Sam is younger.
Yeah, Sam, you have to understand that we remember a pre-Chucky world. And so the fact that that's 40 years, it's really a mind F.
It is.
Yeah.
That does seem a little painful.
A little bit.
Okay, so to continue, Nathan says, episode 13 aired by the time I started watching, and I thought it would take me a few weeks to get caught up, but I got so hooked that I watched it in just a few days.
That's the kind of guy.
That's Becky's man. I really like the concept that it all took place in one day, and I think the fact that there are student doctors is a benefit to the viewers.
Yeah.
They're learning a bunch of new information just like we are. Agreed.
Yep.
It's safe to say Dr. McKay is my favorite, but this is a really well-rounded cast. If I listed all the
Amen.
characters I like, it would basically be everyone. Saying I can't stand Langdon though. He was sent home for a reason, and it felt like he used the Pitt Fest tragedy to worm his way back into a place he wasn't supposed to be.
I agree.
They do need all hands on they can get, but when they get less busy, he better be reprimanded.
Amen, Nathan.
Oh, yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
you are my kind of guy. I am needing moral accountability held for many people in this season now that the dust is settling. Okay, so Nathan goes on to say, despite all the hardships of the show, there are still moments to enjoy some dark humor, like the fact that Whitaker has had to change his scrubs like 5 times. Some shows are just for entertainment purposes, but this show feels more important than that.
Amen.
Yeah, there's a lot of value in seeing all these people trying to improve the lives of everyone around them. Their humanity really shines through. It's powerful. I really like how dreamy and atmospheric the end credit song is. So I reached out to the composer Gavin Brivik on Instagram, and we shared some kind words back and forth. That was awesome.
Oh,
that's very
Nathan,
cool.
tell him
Yeah,
about
I
our
love that.
podcast and that we'd love to talk to him
For sure. Yeah,
about
Really.
composing that song if he's interested. That would be
So
amazing.
beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
We loved his thoughts on failing forward. I would love
Yeah,
to talk
it
to
was
him.
Heck
beautiful.
yeah.
Thanks to Becky for sharing the show in the Podcastica Discord and for always being so kind. And I
Aw.
also want to shout out Mandy and the Dinner for Her podcast.
Yay!
Nathan.
Woo.
I think it's a really cool idea and a great way to share the stories of remarkable people. It's nice to put that out in the world. P.S. I guess hashtag Myrna Watch is still going strong. Yes, it is, Nathan. Yes, it is.
I feel like we have to put a Myrna
Um,
signal in the sky.
Nathan, welcome
Welcome. We
Welcome.
love that.
I am so grateful that you posted about the pit in the new show's Discord, and I'm really glad that you gave us a shot. And if I could reach out and hug you right now, I would. Thank you so
Internet
much.
hug.
Yes,
Thank
internet
Nathan.
hug.
Internet hug, Nathan. You spurred a memory thing for me from the episode. The way Langdon, yeah, he absolutely has to be sent to rehab. There's no other way. But the way Langdon was frantically rushing around trying to be there, I'm like, it reminds me of people use substances for reasons. Him and Santos are just such similar characters. I get a feeling he has an intense trauma too, and
Yeah.
he's doing anything he can to avoid. I don't want him working on me. Like, he needs to be sent to rehab.
No,
And I'm definitely not a Langdon apologist by any stretch of the imagination.
they both just strike me as people that don't want to sit alone in their thoughts for very long.
Yes. Yeah. Something's wrong. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and so I hope they have him and Robbie have a scene in the next episode where they compare of like, oh, we're both hurting our staff and patients and ourselves in different ways.
Yeah.
But very similar.
Yeah, I hope so. Thanks again to all who wrote and called in with feedback and for all the love. We love hearing from you guys every week. Man, it just means the world to us.
It really, I know we keep saying that, but y'all, we mean it from the bottom of our souls. That just to know it. Just thank you all so very much. Yeah. The thing about podcasting, it gives you community, and it's just really, really nice when sometimes, you know, the arrangement and the work that we put into this, we've got our real lives going on outside of all this. It can sometimes be a little stressful because of everything else on our plate, but it's just so worth it every week when we get feedback like this from you guys. So we really appreciate it.
Aww.
And as always, a big thanks to the Pitt fan page, The Pitt with Noah Wiley on Max, and the Reddit page, The Pitt, for providing so much amazing content and allowing us to post our episodes and whatnot on their pages. As always, there will be links to all these pages in our show notes, so please go show them some love. So we have our poll results from last week. The question was, do you think David is the shooter? And we got 13 votes this week. And Sam, what was the results?
0% said yes, all signs point to him, and 100%, which was 13 total votes, said no, it's got to be someone else. Congrats to those 13 voters.
Yes.
I know we're running long, but I just still think that there's some smidgen of a possibility that he was up to something while he was out there.
Yeah, like that's why I go back to it wasn't him today.
Yeah.
He is well on his way to being a suspect.
Yeah, I'm gonna withhold all judgment until we see that final episode.
I don't think he did this one. I do think if he doesn't get help, he will be the next one.
Something won't happen. I agree.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe he'll be outside Robbie's apartment. And come in and like say, "How you doing, fruitcake?"
What if it's like 6th Sense and he's already killed Robbie and Robbie's been dead this whole time? We don't have time to go down that rabbit hole.
All right, so this week's poll, do you think Langdon will out himself about his drug use to the hospital? No, I think he'll stay in denial. Or yes, I think he'll spare Robbie the pain. That will be posted once this episode comes out, so please make sure to cast your vote and let us know what you think. And if you would like to get in touch with us, leave feedback, or just say hi, you can email us or send a voice message as an attachment to what'sontonight2@gmail.com. And that's what'sontonight2@gmail.com. You can visit our Facebook page where there will be a post for the next episode. You can leave feedback in the comment section or send us a message through Facebook Messenger. And we can also be found on Instagram at What's On Tonight Podcast and the number 2. We would greatly appreciate it if you leave a review, comment, like, and or share on your podcast listening app of choice. So how about we venture out to the triage area to take a breath because it's gotten really quiet and talk about where else listeners can find us, podcast recommendations, good TV, movies, or anything else that you'd like to share. What do you got, Sam?
I was like, you said the Q word.
Yeah.
a little like, again, another shout out for the Still Slaying podcast. I have a hard time listening to my episodes, but I enjoy it when other people are on it. And
Oh, you're amazing.
I like not listening to my voice and everything. But I enjoy listening. I've been listening to you ladies and the Yellow Jackets podcast. I've been a big fan of that. So those have been the ones I've been honing in on. And I just listened to the Adrenaline Cinema podcast with The Gorge. I like how they do coverage for that too.
All right, Mandy.
I can be heard on the Dinner for Her podcast. I am getting ready to record the second episode as soon as we get done here. That is where a guest and I will sit down each episode and we will talk about an awesome, badass woman from history. And then we will have a meal together that will in some way be related to that woman's life, either her favorite meal, something she enjoyed cooking, something that may be important to her public life, or maybe just something that is from her culture. So I can be found in all of the same places that you find the What's On Tonight podcast.
And we'll make sure to share links to Mandy's episodes on the What's On Tonight page. So keep an eye out.
And if you guys could go and find my Dinner for Her podcast page on Facebook and on TikTok and give it a like and a share, that would be great.
As far as podcast recommendations, Pirate Core Music Podcast just dropped their second music podcast covering Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. It is a really fun listen with Rena, Joe, and Mark. So please check it out. And I am losing my mind that in 5 days, The Handmaid's Tale is back. I wrote that in all caps, so that's why I said it that way. Podcastica just released a catch-up episode about the previous seasons and preparing to dive into the final season, which comes out on 4/8. So check that out, and you can find this and the Still Slaying podcast that Sam mentioned and a lot of other great podcasts on podcastica.com. A ginormous, huge, big thanks to Mark and Pirate Core Entertainment for giving us this platform. Please visit the website. It can be found on our Facebook page, and there you can find out about our podcast as well as other podcasts like the Slay Lounge podcast with Billy and Will, Dinner for Her with our very own Mandy, and other projects that Mark is working on.
Well, that wraps up our coverage of episode 14 of The Pit. We will be back next week where we will be breaking down the season finale episode titled 9 p.m. Good Lord, this day is the longest day ever.
Seriously, this podcast is the longest podcast ever.
It started yesterday. It started right after we watched the episode Thursday night.
So I listened to podcasts that were 4 hours long.
Our special guest next week is going to be Carly.
Yay! Very excited about that. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Do not be afraid to take a chance on peace, to teach peace, and to live peace. Peace will be the last word of history. So take deep breaths and let peace and love into your world. I'm Becky.
And I'm Mandy.
And I'm Sam.
We'll catch you next week when we grab the remote and see what's on tonight. Bye. So season 2, what if it's just Myrna and Earl porn?
I love it.